Broad topics, broad minds, broad hosts, but not just for broads. This is Broadscast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall.
Hello, welcome to Broadscast.
Hi.
With Kim Goldman.
Hi,
That's
Jackie
you.
McDougall.
Hello.
Jackie McDougall.
Hello. Hey, how's it going today?
Grand. It is going grand. I have debriefed myself on the morning festivities in Trump La La Land. I try to give myself as much information to start my day in the most absurd life that we're living in. But yeah, that's what's happening. I'm doing great.
I feel like I go onto social media to look for news now the way I would to get the score of a sporting event that I'm not able to attend or watch. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm going on like, oh, what's the score every day? You know what I mean?
Like a spoiler alert?
Multiple times a day. No, because like there's always something. There's always some sort of like what was said, what's he saying now?
I feel like I'm going online I should be wearing a bodysuit, body armor.
Hey, so before we get back to that, because we definitely want our conservative broads to be tuning in and to be sharing conversations with us as well. So we don't want to alienate you.
In some places.
What's that?
I'm conservative in some areas.
I'm
conservatively reserving my opinion.
No, but before we get into anything else, our guest today.
Yes.
Jonathan Scott. I'm a big Property Brothers fan. The show is on HGTV, unless you've been living under a rock and you've never heard of them. He and his brother Drew are the Property Brothers. They're twins.
Hunky.
Yeah, and one of them does all the work, and that's Jonathan.
Oh.
No, we'll have to ask him about that because, his brother Drew is a realtor, and, and then they renovate and the whole thing, and they actually joke that, Jonathan does all the work. So
that's funny. He does all the heavy lifting.
All the heavy lifting, literally and figuratively. So he will be on the show in just a little bit.
He's got good hair.
You think?
Yeah, I do.
He does have
He's
nice
the
hair.
scruffy looking one, right? Isn't he a little scruffier?
I don't know. I feel like every time I feel like I know which one's which.
Oh.
When you're
if he's wearing a tool belt, right?
Well, that gives it away.
Right.
When you're watching the show, it's easy. But like when you see them
outside
on
of the
interviews
show.
And things like that. So I'm glad that we're not going to be confused by, trying to figure out which one he is. But also our Broad Squad, if you're not in our Broad Squad group over on Facebook, they have asked, we let them ask a few questions over there.
Yeah.
That we will share with Mr. Scott.
They have some good ones.
They have some good ones. Yeah. That's the thing I love about the Broad Squad is like, it's not like, which color is in, like they had some meaty, good questions. Not that there's anything bad with which color is in, but, I just think that they're a group of strong, opinionated, sassy women of all different backgrounds and all different, beliefs and views.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good. That's why we have them, because who wants to listen to us all the time?
Not me. But one of the things, you can head over to the Broad Squad group, and we'll even post it on our Broadscast Facebook page so you can join us and be part of the conversation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Please let someone else's opinions get into the conversation, because Jackie and I think we're like, we want to hear other people call us out. Like, I'm tired of calling you out all the time, Jackie.
Oh my gosh, right?
Seriously?
I want someone else to be like, Kim, you're full of crap.
Yeah. Stop showing up late everywhere you go, Ms. Goldman. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, huge shout out. I don't know if you've read the news, but our friend who's been on the show, Lovey Ajayi, she, if you have not seen her book or read her book or listened to her book, I'm Judging You, the Do Better Manual. The Shonda Rhimes and Betsy Beers from Shondaland, they acquired the rights to it, and they're to develop as a cable comedy series.
That's
How
amazing.
Awesome is that?
Yeah, she was a great guest too. She was so much fun and so humble about her opportunities, and and I love that when people reach high levels of success, that they still are able to like just be in so much shock and awe and just so appreciative.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about. I remember that.
But
feeling from
her book has so resonated. It's amazing when I see, when she'll post like some, I think even Oprah was like,
oh, right.
with her book it's just, you work hard and you do what, I think one of the things about her is I feel like she's extremely authentic. Like she doesn't change who she is when she's around different people. She doesn't change. We talk about this on the show of having your like social media persona, not you, but one's social media persona versus like real life. And I feel like her success has a lot to do with the fact that it doesn't change.
Right. Well, it's interesting because, we were talking offline about like the role of celebrity and being in the public eye. And if you have to change for the sake of your brand, I mean, we're going to talk about this with Jonathan later too, but, in the news this week was with other major celebrities that are challenging their brands and who they support because of what their political views are. And people are really speaking up, and some of them are being supported for that and some are getting backlash for that. So, I love that she's been able to kind of just stand her ground and be who she is and own it, so good for her.
So if you haven't read the book or listened to the book, you can actually get it for free at audibletrial.com/broadscast. Get a free month of Audible trial, and you can download Lovey's book for free. So audibletrial.com/broadscast.
Is she going to be in it, by the way?
I don't know. I didn't read that.
Okay.
That would be amazing.
Speaking of Shonda, I know you did not watch Scandal.
No, I have not watched Scandal.
I know, but I need you to catch up because we need to talk about what Shonda's doing with these shows.
Talk to me. Turn your mic it's going toward your face.
I want to talk to you. No, did anybody watch Scandal? Am I the only one? Like, I didn't watch it live. I DVR it and then I watched it.
So is it the storyline that you're like? Like
yes.
what? Is it something that you can talk about without giving it up?
I think so, because the storyline is an old storyline that they kind of brought back with Cyrus Bean, who was
Cyrus.
So he just became president by default. I don't even know. It's kind of stupid.
You think?
I did. I thought it was kind of dumb, but maybe that's what happens. I don't know. I was hoping we would figure that out in our current political climate, but we did not. But so he had this relationship with the old guy that was the security guy for the Secret Service guy, Tom, who injected the kid.
Yes. Tom killed the
president's son. Right. So he's like part of the command, right? Like,
yes.
But they're having like this steamy love affair, and it just doesn't.
He and Cyrus,
and it just doesn't. I just don't buy it. Like it was a focus of last night. And
why? Because Cyrus is older and not as buff, and
I don't know. I just was watching. It just didn't seem. You can tell when there are people that have chemistry on camera, and and then people that don't. Like it just didn't feel right. I feel like it's such a forced story. Like, and I get that it's a storyline. I know that I'm being very deep about this, but I was like, I don't know.
You know what I find fascinating? That with all the things that are going on with Scandal, this is what you don't buy.
I was so bored with the episode.
But that's what you don't buy.
I know. I was so
Cyrus
bored.
Would actually get,
I was so bored. And Tom being this like insecure, romantic, like, I just want to do whatever I can for you, Cyrus, because I love you, and like holding hands. Like he's a vicious killer. And I guess
well, they both are.
But them holding hands and like pledging their love for each other, it just felt weird. I don't know. And then like he unbuckled his pants and went down. Like it just the whole thing. I didn't say the whole thing, but like I don't know. I don't buy him as being like this soft-hearted, mushy.
Well, look at our president.
No, he's just thin-skinned. No, it's not even the same.
These like women who are beautiful, and models and this and that, and I can't.
I understand the psychological component of power. I get it. But as a viewer, I was so bored. I just was bored. I was like, I'm not. I watched Scandal. I watched every episode. I watched every episode of Grey's Anatomy. I'm just a little bored right now.
So Cyrus aren't doing it for you. Wait, so Grey's Anatomy was bored too?
I was a little bored. I just feel like sometimes they're like the storylines are not all that compelling, and they focus on the storylines that are not all that.
February sweeps. You think that they'd be like.
Yeah, where's the car crash? Where's the helicopter through the roof? Where's the I don't know. I'm just bored.
Right.
I'm just bored.
It's funny because it gets like that, like where it's big and then it just settles out or whatever, and then you get to the finales of her shows and like you can't breathe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I just feel like in the last couple of seasons of Grey's Anatomy, I haven't really been.
You're not invested anymore?
No, I know.
All right. Well, you guys, please let us know.
You didn't know this was going to be.
That we can get invested in. Kim is finally watching Game of Thrones.
I am.
haven't gotten there yet.
I am. I finally am watching. I'm having to close my eyes and close my ears because it's very risque and very graphic, and I have to watch it when my son's not in the room because there's lots of nudity and groaning. Yeah. So
that's the stuff. It's funny because there are certain things that I let the kids watch. Like if there are movies with language, I mean, I just think that they understand. Like, don't say that. I mean,
right.
But when it comes to like certain subject matter and certain things that are a lot more complicated, I'm like, absolutely.
Well, my friend Clara was very clear to tell me that it's not a kid-friendly show, and she was very like, no, you can't have the kids watch it, but she neglected to tell me how sexual it was. So the graphic language and the graphic violence, I wouldn't want Sam to be part of it, but she just didn't tell me how sexual. So I was watching it one night, and there was like this very, very sexual scene with very loud noises, and Sam was coming into the room, and I was like, oh my God, like trying to turn it off, and then I freeze framed it, and it was just boobs on the screen, and Sam's like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. Like, oops. He's like, Mom, what are you watching? Yeah, it's National Geographic. Yeah. Anyway,
well,
so yeah.
50 Shades of Game of Thrones or something like that.
Yeah. I didn't watch nothing. Yeah. I didn't realize this was going to be like a review of television.
I know. Who knew? We never know what's going to happen with our little brother.
Oh, God.
So, you know what else I found out this morning? It's our friend-iversary.
Okay.
Facebook.
Thanks, Facebook, for, yeah. Those pictures were not good. Could we change those? Because, like, we have some better pictures.
We do have better pictures.
Yeah.
I did like that, there was one picture of us with kids, or of our kids.
No, you and Sam on at Disneyland. Yeah. Yeah, and you guys are making the funniest. Yeah.
On,
it was some ride.
that water ride at
Right.
Disneyland.
Right. That was a fun,
Splash
I don't know,
Mountain.
Splash Mountain.
But that was kind of fun to wake up this morning.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, because what is this, 2017?
Oh, my God.
So wait, it said we're 7 years?
On Facebook.
Yeah, so that was, really? Wait.
I don't know.
2010, yeah, because I think we met in like 2009.
I have no idea.
Crazy.
Has that been that long?
It's been a while.
Really?
Can you imagine?
My life without you? No. No.
So,
Yeah.
No, you can't imagine life without me. Of course not. So, what else?
Hey, big news.
What?
George Clooney and his beautiful wife, Amal, are having babies.
Babies.
Yeah, they're expecting twins. Twins. They did not want Beyonce to have all of the glory this week. So, yeah, he's finally...
How old is that?
He's finally reproducing. I have no idea. She's 30. Is in their 30s, late 30s.
Oh, she's pretty young.
I think so. I don't know. But yeah, that's big news, supposedly. And then a bunch of other people that I didn't know who they were announced that they were having babies. They were trending. I have no idea who they are.
Things and I'm like, I have no idea who half
No
the people
idea.
are.
No idea. Yeah, that's when I realized I'm old.
But do you think that celebrities make more twins, or
Do I think that celebrities make more twins?
or is it just a fertility thing?
Well, that's where I went when I heard that they were having twins, and same thing with Beyonce. I don't hope that's not offensive, but I did think that.
Well, yeah, I would think.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, twins happen.
Twins do happen. I mean, we're having one
Exactly.
of a twin today, so
They were trendy before it was a trend.
twins were trendy. What?
No, the Property Brothers were trendy before twins were a Hollywood trend.
Hello, Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. Hello. No, I don't know. I didn't really give it much thought other than woohoo.
Yeah.
Having a baby. Congratulations. Right. And at least they didn't put out that silly looking birth announcement like Beyonce did. Oh, hey, wait, before we have Jonathan come on, I we put this on our Facebook page, and I just want to acknowledge it because it's really been bugging me this week. So the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, let's stop for half a second and say, go Patriots. Come on.
It was a great game.
They earned it.
Yes, but I was rooting for the Falcons.
Of course
I'm not gonna lie. Not of course I was. I've been rooting for the Falcons for the last couple of years. I've had Julio Jones and Matt Ryan on my fantasy football team for 3 years straight.
Did you win this year?
No, I didn't win. I didn't win. But they've been my fantasy people for the last 3 years. I always watch their games. So I have been a fan. And it was a great game. And yes, the Patriots came back and it was amazing. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway.
Oh, come on. That was the best game in the history of all games.
Okay, Trump. All right. So
they won bigly.
They did win bigly. So Lady Gaga,
yes,
has been the center of some discussion this week, or should I say, her body?
Yeah, her tummy.
I mean, seriously. So if you didn't, who didn't watch? But if you didn't
Go
watch,
to our Facebook
Lady
page to see this
Gaga
photo.
Did an amazing performance. I'm not typically a huge fan of hers, but I thought she did a great job.
Yeah.
She looked amazing. She danced amazing. Everything was awesome. And there was a picture that was generated from one of her positions on stage where she had like a little pooch that
yeah, barely.
I mean, barely. And people were talking about like how fat she was. And so people have been body shaming her. I'm so disappointed in us.
Yeah.
Honestly, she's gorgeous and who cares? Who cares? And that's what people focused on. I'm so disappointed. So I'm just sorry.
Do
Lady
better,
Gaga.
people.
I'm saying sorry, Lady Gaga, that we didn't do better by you. For someone who stands for so much in this country of equality and wanting to do right by people, and she's such a big power hitter in the LGBTQ world and sexual assault, and she does all these amazing things for victims and survivors of abuse, and that's how we treat her. What did she ever do to you? I'm just leave her alone.
But also with these Dove campaigns and with these other, empowering, showing larger women, and she's not even I'm not saying that about her. I'm just saying we're go, go, go. But then when we have a celebrity who's in kick butt shape, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But she comes out there and shows confidence in her body and then we shame it. So it's choose one. You know what I mean? You can't be rah-rah Dove and all these other plus
I don't
size.
think people are rah-rah Dove. We did a show on this. Remember a while back? People were they don't like that. They're not supportive. I mean, a majority of people are not supportive. They don't want to see plus size models. They don't want to see.
Even though plus size models are a
normal
6.
size. Yeah. But I'm disappointed. Every time, just when I think that we're moving towards, being better and being kinder to each other, that we get that. And I'm just
but I do think here we are in this place where women are marching and trying to support, and some of these people are the same women who are then ridiculing someone because they're a celebrity for their body. If we're going to elevate women as a whole, let's you know what I mean. Let's look at her talents. You're doing exactly what you're upset that men are doing. You're looking at you're judging her for this and this. She went out there and she did a great job and she held her own. And then she dove off the stage in some epic. I can't stop laughing every time I see her just jump.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she nailed it, and it's not enough. That's the thing. I think that's the long and short of it is no matter what we do and it's not men always, often, that are criticizing.
Yeah.
It's other women.
Yeah.
It's not enough. It's somebody said this to me a long time ago, and I don't even remember, but the more you elevate those around you, the more that if you are successful, and I've said this to you offline, if you get this gig on Crime Watch Daily, or you are interviewed for something that you've accomplished, the more that the people around you are successful is the universe showing you success. It's bringing that into your world. So the more of my friends or my family or anybody who finds success, it's beautiful. I love it because it just means there's success around me. And I know I'm so hippy dippy, but there's an energy. There's an energy. And those that are shutting it down because they're jealous that there's no finite amount of success.
Right.
So it doesn't mean that if someone is successful that it takes away from yours. Do you know what I mean? So get over yourselves and let's cheer each other on.
I know. I guess that's what I'm. You're being far more philosophical than I am, which is always the case. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, well, let's
slow.
move on to more exciting things.
Oh, more exciting. Yes.
More exciting things. So today on the show, as we told you earlier, Jonathan Scott from Property Brothers. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm very excited that you requested everybody's favorite brother.
Yeah, and the more handsome one.
Yeah. Oh,
I didn't say it. You said it.
I did loud and
What's
proud.
funny is earlier I had referenced you to Kim, and I said, he's the one who does all the work.
Yeah. Are you the? You're the.
That's the easiest way to tell us apart is if you just look at our hands. One of them has a beautifully manicured set of hands, and the other one, you can tell he does all the work.
Women love a calloused hand man. That's a tongue twister right there.
Yeah. Now, granted, I will give it to Drew that on Brother versus Brother and on Brothers Take New Orleans, he actually jumps in and does his own design, does a lot of the work. So I'll admit on those shows, I think he feels that I'm getting all the fun because I do the demolition, and he wants to have a little bit of it. So I'll give it to him.
I just want to have demo. I'd like to open up like a shop where people can just come in and demo. I think that would be huge for like stress relief and, just come in and...
That actually already exists.
Really?
It does?
They're all over the place. They're called rage rooms. And so there's places, and I've been in several different cities where they have them, and I went into one of them, and it's just like a giant room, and you pay by the smash.
Oh.
So they've got everything from plates to old computer parts and monitors to bottles and sledgehammers and you name it, and you can just smash stuff.
That is
my
incredible.
God.
And here I thought I was like, coming up with the next big business.
That's such a departure from the Snuggle Factory or the Cuddle Project that's going on.
Yeah.
After
I'm
you're
more
done
of
in
a
the
snuggle
rage
kind
room,
of guy.
you go over to the Cuddle Factory.
You're more than
Yeah.
a snuggle than a demo. So
Yeah.
speaking of snuggling, here I was going to go back to like how you guys, but rumor has it like you were always the single twin. Now that's no longer the case. Is that true?
For recent years, yeah. I mean, the funny thing is when we go back to when we were, in high school, Drew was so awkward around girls. It was like watching, what's his name? Ben Stiller in a movie where he's like so awkward that it's uncomfortable to watch. Drew was so bad around girls that, I was very comfortable. And so I would tell him, you got to relax and, it's totally fine. Well, Drew was then single for years and years. And when he got over that, he kind of went the other way and he was a little too comfortable. And then, of course, he met his fiance now, and she's fantastic. And they've been dating for probably 6 or 7 years. And during that time, I was single. And so I met about a year ago at a charity event we were doing. I met somebody, and, things just seemed to have bloomed, and to the point now where, yes, all of the Scott brothers are officially off the market.
Wow. And here I was going to hook you up with my single co-host, Kim, over there.
She never, jeez. Yeah.
Although, the Scott brothers must know some single guys. So,
it's taking a turn.
But, a lot of people, so there's actually 3 of you, correct?
That's right. JD's our older brother, but everyone thinks he's younger because he's better looking.
Well,
are you guys like who you are in home? Like when you guys are together for the holidays and like hanging out when the cameras aren't around, are you guys the exact same people there that you are when you're filming your show?
Yeah, it's so funny because I laugh. People say to us, they'll see us at an event or at a friend's place or whatever. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you guys are just like you are on TV." I'm like, "Well, that's because we're not playing roles on TV. That's who we are." And so it's the same, like our parents, all of us, we're very close. Our whole family is very close. And, we're always just giving each other a hard time, laughing a lot. That's the 2 biggest things we do as a family is eat and laugh nonstop.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Kim and I both have, Kim's got a son and I've got 3 kids. So, talking about your parents and building that, I mean, that says something about them. Like, what do you think that they did as parents that made things so kind of lighthearted,
Well, I think that the big thing is not taking things too seriously. I mean, we did grow up in a strict household. There were rules, and we had to treat other people with respect, and so they were very strict that way. But they were also very encouraging. So if we ever had a passion, my parents, it didn't matter to my parents what we had as a passion as long as we were passionate about something. They didn't want us just sitting around doing nothing, sitting on the computer. Like we got a computer when we were young, and of course you had your video games and stuff like that. And they didn't want us to be those kids, so we had to go out. We lived on a farm, and eventually when we were 14, built our family ranch. And we had to be doing chores all the time ever since we were, probably 5 years old, shoveling horse poop and stuff like that.
Right.
But so that was the main thing for us is, our parents were firm but fair, and they really encouraged us to socialize when they had friends over, so other adults were around. We were never, those kids that were shy because our parents socialized us from a very young age.
Yeah, well, it's clearly paid off. So, take us through a little bit from when you started to get into like design and the whole thing, and your brother and real estate. Like, how did you go from living on the farm to suddenly, millions of followers on HGTV?
Yeah, well, we've been little entrepreneurs since we were kids, and Drew and I started our first business when we were 7 years old. And I remember because we had seen somewhere at a craft store, we saw this person had made these hangers where you just sort of weave the nylon around the hangers. There's a little rosette on top. And Drew and I were like, we could totally do that. And so we learned how to do it. And we started our own business called Jam Enterprises, John and your mom. And our slogan was, we take care of your hang-ups. And we would make these hangers, and we would go door to door in our community selling them. And I remember that we met this woman a couple blocks over who had a chain of American paraphernalia stores in Japan. And she loved these things. She started buying them by the thousands. And so these 2 7-year-old kids were making thousands of dollars selling these hangers overseas. And so I remember we went on a trip to Scotland to visit family. And while we were there, we bought ourselves a bunch of medieval swords and shields and all these different things and started our medieval weapons collection. We didn't want to be the kids who were spending all their money on candy and things like that. We wanted to buy things that, were actually substantial, like weapons. So we always had random little things like that we were doing. But in our house, you didn't get an allowance. So we had our chores that we had to do. And so we had to do something extra to make money. When we were 8, my dad said we had to look to get a job with someone else so that we could learn some work ethic from someone else as well. And so I remember that we saw an ad for Parks and Rec, that was learn to be a clown, go to clown school, and they'll hire you out to parades to entertain. And we're like, we're already clowns, let's do it. And so Drew and I were apprentice clowns for years and years and years, and on the weekend do 2 gigs, make $50 an hour each. And, what 8-year-olds are doing that? And so always thinking of little things here and there. And, we'd even sit down. I remember when we were in our teens, probably around just after high school, it would be probably about 15, 16, somewhere around there. I remember sitting around and we looked, JD, Drew, and I were like, we're 3 young, good-looking guys. How are we not rich already? We got to come up with a plan. And so we started a boy band, and we
I did that.
It was terrible. It was really terrible. Our band name was, so we also did the research because we're nerds, and so we discovered that there were more fans in the country music space than all other genres of music combined. And we're like, but there are no boy bands in country. We got this made. So we started a band called Western Union. And I don't know if we were going to get sued by the lender or what, but we didn't go anywhere with that. But, that was funny. Sort of what our mentality. We're always trying to think of something that, showcase our talents and do that. And then eventually when we got out of high school, Drew and I had decided we didn't want to be struggling because we were actors as well at the same time. We didn't want to be struggling actors and myself as a magician. So let's invest in real estate. So we bought every book we possibly could. We'd learned a lot from our parents and the renovations that they had done. And Drew and I bought our very first place at 18 years old and surprisingly bought it for only $250 down. We were we learned enough from those infomercials, make millions with no money down, and also from our own books we were reading, that we were able to assume the mortgage without qualifying somebody who couldn't make their payments anymore. And it was great. Our first investment, we fixed it up and sold it, made $50,000, and that's when the light bulb went on. And we just started doing it over and over and over until about 10 years later when we'd formed our company, ran our company for 10 years, and we eventually were approached to do a show about it.
Hey, so I'm feeling really inadequate right now. I'm just going to say. I mean,
you weren't working at 7?
You know what? I actually was like you. My dad was raised in a very similar household where I didn't get paid for allowance. I had chores. My dad always held me to a very high standard. No, I had to read to watch TV. I had jobs. I had put my flyer up around town for babysitting. I mean, I was the same way, but did I didn't sell
I was talking to your dad just the other day, and your dad was telling me that you were just a brat.
Yeah, I was a total brat. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, what I love too is that a lot of twins. I have actually sisters who are twins, and a lot of twins are trying to kind of like find their own identity and make sure that people don't lump them in, and they struggle a little bit. And you guys, I don't know, it seems like you saw it at a young age. You're like, we could work this thing,
Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, there were a lot of doors that were open for us because people love the gimmickry of twins, and that's one thing. When we were doing the show, we didn't want it to be a gimmick that we were clones doing real estate. Funny thing, which most people don't realize, when we were running our real estate company back in the day, I was actually the broker for our company. So I was the real estate broker, and the other agents worked under me. Drew has been licensed longer as a real estate agent, and he did more of the work with clients. I did most of our commercial acquisitions and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But back in the day, I was a licensed broker, but I was also a master builder and had gone to college for construction and design. And so when the people approached us for the show, they said, well, Drew, he's really brawny looking, rough and tumble. And, Jonathan, you're the broker. Okay, well, they originally wanted me to be the broker on the show, and Drew would be the contractor. And then that we were flying in to meet the team about doing the show and everything, and we were going to tell them, well, you realize that Drew's not a contractor. I'm a licensed contractor. And when they found that out, they're like, oh, that's no good. It needs to be what's actually the case. So they flipped us around. But I remember that, I had said to Drew, I'm like, oh, this is exciting. I'm going to have all these, Armani suits and all of this stuff. And then they flipped it around, and we go in. All the wardrobe they had laid out for me was all flannel. And, it was some of the worst
Levi's,
stuff I'd ever seen.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. How about I just wear my clothes? Is that cool? I'll just wear my clothes. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of back and forth. But it's, for us, that's why we didn't want it to be a gimmick. So, we intentionally kept our hair differently. Originally I remember this one producer saying, let's twin you guys up. Let's twin you up. Same hair, same everything. And we're like, you know what? I just threw up in my mouth a little. I don't want to do that.
Well, I love that because, a lot of people, I mean, you guys were already finding success in the world. And so I think that is a good reason to not let somebody change you. But there are a lot of people who go into reality TV and these producers come up with, and I've worked in television for over 20 years. Like, I see ideas that people come up with. And if you're not strong enough in what your message is and who you are as a person, you can very easily get wrapped up in that and suddenly not even recognize yourself anymore. So, I think the show resonates with people too, because you guys do come across as this is who you are. And you're not you don't talk in sound bites. You talk in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the big thing too, is if we ended up getting some kind of an ego and, we were changing because of television, then my mom would kick our butts. So right. my mom reads all of our tweets and all of our Facebook messages. We'll even get random messages, every couple of days from my mom. Did you see what Charlotte from Pennsylvania has said to you guys? She wants to make sure that you. And so my mom's like the advocate for the fans to make sure that we stay level-headed.
And that's fantastic. And I have to say, I've seen you guys on Twitter, and I've tweeted things in the past, and you guys are so responsive to people, and just the way I think it's great. I think your mom is brilliant, really. So you recently on Facebook, you were trending there for a little bit because after the Women's March and people had a lot of negative comments, and you took it to social media to kind of stand up for the women marching and stand up for all women. And first of all, what made you decide? Because you guys aren't all that political. You guys are pretty benign when it comes to what you're putting out there and lighthearted and fun. What made you think I need to say something?
Well, it's frustrating to me that the landscape right now, everybody seems to be so angry, but most people don't really know what they're angry about. They sort of work themselves into this frenzy where they're complaining and especially online trolling about everything. I could post something that says, what a beautiful sunny day, and someone will come on, well, damn it, I like rain. Right. So, you got to really step back and think about it. And, so for me, you're right in the sense that I never want to post something that is going to flat out offend somebody, get their back up, because then you can't have a dialogue. Everything that I do, and I love writing, I write a lot. And when I write, I'm trying to create a discussion. I'm trying to create a dialogue. I love it when somebody has a different opinion than mine, because the only way I will ever learn something new is if somebody gives me an opinion that I didn't already have.
Right.
So, I'm okay when somebody opposes some of my opinions, but let's talk about it. As soon as you start yelling and screaming, you're not getting anywhere. And so with the Women's March, for example, one of the biggest complaints people were saying is, well, women have it good here. You look at somewhere like Yemen and they've got no rights and blah, blah. And so my counter to that is, are you telling me that the women who are overseas right now, the women who maybe live somewhere where they don't have all of the liberties that we have here, the democracy that we have here, you don't think that through social media, through word of mouth, through everything else, that they're hearing about the movement and that this couldn't inspire them? Well, of course it does. So any step forward in any equality here in North America resounds to the farthest reaching corners of the globe. So, I had posted something because Drew's fiance and my girlfriend and JD's girlfriend all went to Washington for the march. So they were all there in person. And so I posted something just saying that, and it was one of the quotes that I'd written, is that a culture that respects and supports women is one destined for great things.
Right.
And the backlash was, I was so disappointed to see how anybody could find fault in saying that I believe in supporting our women. And, women's rights is not a woman issue or a man issue. It's a human issue. And it's something that when I have a platform where I can use my voice to express an opinion, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to be bullied into trying to be quiet when I think something's very important. And so, yeah, that's basically where I stand. And so I put out a video, and it was funny because I remember my parents were visiting us. We're in Vegas, and we were going out for dinner with my parents. And I'm like, well, you know what? I quickly want to say something. I really want to say something. And so I had been, jotting down some notes of some things I want to say. I'm like, I'm just going to do a quick video. So Drew shot me doing this little video 5 minutes before we go for dinner, and I put it up online, and it was basically just saying, I'm not trying to pick a fight with you. I'm trying to get you to stop and think and understand that there's sometimes good intention in something that has an opposing opinion to you. And it went viral, and it was picked up by every media outlet, from People to Entertainment Tonight to the Washington Post. You name it, everybody picked it up. And I'm glad, because I think it helped a lot of people really take pause and realize that maybe the things that they were, picking apart in other people really had no bearing.
I appreciate that you are willing to step out. I think that there are, Jackie and I had this conversation a lot about people that are in high profile positions and whether or not they should deviate from what they're known for and speak out. I mean, in the news this week, Misty Copeland and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Steph Curry are kind of challenging, big business because it speaks, against what they believe and, as a brand and blah, 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 blah. And so people are condemning them for that, just stick to what you're good at. And, I appreciate that you're willing to kind of use your pulpit to have conversation. And do you find that people are... What's that?
Well, that's exactly what you're saying is I find it's so unfortunate when, I have just as much right to an opinion as the next person. And some people feel that because I'm on television, because I'm a public person, that I shouldn't have an opinion. Or even moreover, one of the comments I get a lot is, because I was born in Canada, that I have no right to say anything about America.
Right.
Well, America's my home. I chose, in fact, I feel like I have even more of a right because I chose to uproot my entire life and immigrate to a country that I thought was fantastic.
Right.
And so, I pay my taxes, I employ hundreds of people, and we do what we can do to be a good American. And so when somebody tells me that I don't have the right to express my opinion, I think that's really unfortunate. So again, I think there are some people who will complain no matter what. And so I try, not to let that stuff affect me. It's really just a matter of, when I say something, and this goes all the way back to my parents when I was a kid, when Mom said, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it. Mm-hmm. There's something in that. When I say something, I've put a lot of thought into it. When I stand behind something, I make sure, like, whether it's
thoughtful,
talking about something to do with healthcare, whether it's talking about, politics, I've actually read the stuff that I'm talking about. You'd be amazed at how many people will complain up and down about some kind of legislation, and it turns out they've never even read it.
Right.
So I actually take the time to make sure that when I express my opinion, it's an educated opinion, so that I'm not the guy who's out there stating claims that are completely false.
Yeah, you know,
if only our president would learn from your.
No, but you know what? It's interesting because I find that, you know, Jackie and I were talking about this before, that we're such a politically correct society. Like everything you do is offensive to somebody. You know, everybody's looking for an opportunity to get upset. I mean, you know, I don't remember what episode it was. You and your brother did something where one of you lost
brother versus brother,
and you lost a bet or whatever. One of you had to dress and drag, and you know, I remember like people getting upset that you guys did that. I mean, a part of me is just like, come on, just like, we're just human. We're just all trying to survive.
Did you get any flack for that at all? Like one of our Broad Squad, so we have a Broad Squad group, right? And so we asked them to ask some questions, and one of them had asked if you had gotten any flack for that episode of, like, you know, the having to dress and drag or anything like that, or do the people who watch you kind of know it's all in good fun?
Yeah, I don't think we had any negativity come from that. I mean, I'll be honest, I've dressed more as a woman than I have as a man over the last number of years, because I was a theater kid. So when we were growing up, you know, you would play the role. It didn't matter if it was a man, woman, anything. So we just had a blast with it, and we don't take it too seriously. And, you know, I think that's the other thing too is, you know, everybody seems so sensitive right now that they're ready to snap at a moment's notice when in reality, a lot of stuff, like, it's a joke. Relax. There's some things that are a joke, and you don't have to take offense to everything. People, just because there's something terrible happening somewhere in the world doesn't mean that people should never be able to laugh or smile or, you know, express love or whatever it is in another area. So, you know, there's a time that's appropriate for some things. There's a time that's not appropriate. On our shows, I'm amazed we get any work done because we just laugh all day. Our crew is like family. The construction teams are amazing. So that's why we, you know, we don't really read too deep into some of that stuff. The advice was actually given me one time, and this really applies across the board. You know, I hate it when you look at things like what's happening with Gaga. I thought her performance was just the most fantastic performance at the Super Bowl. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Mm-hmm. And what right does somebody have to try and find something negative in that, right, to pick apart? They have no right. So the people who are doing that, I think, are the people who are going to do it regardless. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. It doesn't matter if it's flawed. They're going to complain regardless. You can't take much, you can't put much weight in that, because at the end of the day, you know, if you look on our social media platforms, we've got about 6 million followers across all our platforms between Drew and me, and there's maybe only a handful of people who are the ones that complain regularly. And the other 6.999 million or whatever it is are fantastic.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
You know, that's what we really put the faith in the fact that I do believe people are good. I do believe that everybody has good in them. Sometimes it's just hard to get that out because the environment around us is just so negative.
Absolutely. And, you know, I tried to protest those people by making Kim and myself dress up as Gaga this week, but she wouldn't go for it. So whatever.
Yeah.
Well, apparently I dress up as a woman a lot, so maybe I'll dress.
Oh, the three of us. We could all be Gaga. Mm-hmm. So, hey, so before we let you go, so you've got so many other things. So you guys came out with a book last year, Dream Home, the Property Brothers' Ultimate Guide to Finding and Fixing Your Perfect House. Tell us about that a little bit.
We've been working on it actually for about 2 years, and we wanted to make sure that it was perfect, that it was all-encompassing, whether you're buying, selling, renovating. The fans have been asking for it for a long time, and so we wrote this guide that really we want to be like your Bible, that gets you to ask the questions. If you're doing real estate, gets you to ask the questions that you need to ask yourself. Otherwise, you're just throwing money away. And it skyrocketed right to the New York Times bestseller list, which was incredible and humbling. And we're glad that it was received as well. It is. So we're actually in the process now of writing our second book, which will come out in September. And it's more of a memoir, just to tell people our story and, you know, why we have the values that we have and how we got to where we are. And, you know, we have always been told we should be like 90 for the amount of things that we've done. But if you look up in the Webster's Dictionary, overachievers, it probably has a picture of us. But we're okay with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all the success has been, you know, and now QVC as well. What Scott Living over there? What's going on there?
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of people don't realize the ancillary businesses that we run. You know, we've produced, not only do we produce some of our shows with Scott Brothers Entertainment, we also produce a lot of other shows that we're not in, food shows, travel, all kinds of different shows. And in addition to the production company, we also have our furniture and decor line. So Scott Living has been growing and growing, and we surpassed the $100 million mark. We'll be a $250 million company by next year. And so we're always looking to sort of bridge that gap between the consumers who are watching our shows but don't have the budgets to do all of the elaborate things that we're doing, but still want to improve their space. So later this year, we're making another announcement as well, which is a huge venture and a big step towards bridging that gap and just making it more cost-effective for the everyday homeowner to do the things that they see on our shows.
That's fantastic.
We really do. At the end of the day, we really do have our homeowners in mind. I mean, for me, the most rewarding part is at the end of an episode of Property Brothers when the homeowners just throw their arms around us and give us a big hug and say, thank you. You know, this is something we would never have been able to do if it wasn't for you guys. And that's what makes it all worthwhile. And, you know, I think it's a shame if anyone, you know, complains about the show or there's something I'm like, well, at the end of the day, all we're doing, again, Drew and I don't charge the homeowners for our time. We get as much as we can for free for them and discounts. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about the homeowners. And I think that's good. I think that everybody really could use a little bit of humble and kind right about now and maybe find somebody else that they can help out, and it might make them feel a lot better about themselves.
Well, I feel all warm and fuzzy after this.
It might be the alcohol she's been drinking, but
yeah. No, I mean, honestly, Jackie is a big home improvement. I watch and am shamed because my house looks like such a mess all the time. But I really do. I appreciate that you are so committed to being authentic and staying true to your family and your values, and your mom sounds like someone I'd want to hang out with. So tell her hello. But congratulations to all your success, and we're super excited for you and your brother. And poor JD, who sounds like he gets left out a lot, but I don't know, maybe.
He's involved in a lot of. I mean, we have him in a lot of our shows and everything too, and you know, so we're triple in you know, not partners in crime, we're triple in crime or whatever it would be.
Right.
So the three of us always
Wonder
have a good
triplets.
Time.
Activate or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I love that because
thank you very much, guys.
The authenticity. Just keep doing what you're doing because I think it's great, and I think that, you know, your ability to stand up for what you believe, you know, keep doing that because, you know, never mind the fact that your audience, like just from a strictly business, like your audience is a lot of women, you know, and so. Yep. I think that anybody who is looking for equality, we need allies in in all different areas to do standing up for other people. So anyway, thanks for doing that, and thanks for being on the show.
The last thing I'll say, just to tack on to what you're saying there, is I 100% agree that if people are worried that, you know, there's something that we need to do, that we need to make America great again. If we really, really believe that there's something we can do to make this country great, you know what that would be? It would be working together. If we all actually realize that we're floating around on this big rock together, and if we work together toward a common goal, then we would actually make this a phenomenal country. Think of the impact that would have. So I agree. Yeah. I'm going to keep voicing, you know, my opinion in a way that I feel supports and encourages conversation. And if anybody feels that they want to follow and ask questions, I'm very active in social. My handle is Mr. Silver Scott on every platform. But, you know, really at the end of the day, I think we can get a lot further if we, you know, lead by encouragement, lead by example, as opposed to leading by intimidation.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, amen.
Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us.
Okay.
Have a good day.
We'll see you on Twitter.
All right, see you later. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that was Jonathan Scott from Property Brothers.
Mr. Silver Scott. I like
so
it.
his middle name is actually Silver, which is I think it's like a really cool middle name.
Really?
Yeah. So he's Mr.
He sounds like
Silver Scott.
Yeah, but like his family, like I want to like go have dinner over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like all of them.
Totally. And that's the thing is, you know, I had no intentions of bringing up like us raising kids, but you know, when it comes to his family, I love asking what look like, you know, successful families. And by successful, I mean, you know, leaning on each other and enjoying each other and spending time together because you want to and not because it's Christmas and your mom will guilt you. You know?
Yeah. But, you know, I don't know how old they are, but the fact that I know you're quickly looking it up on Google.
They're definitely in their 30s.
Yeah. But the fact that he consistently referred to his upbringing or a lesson that his parents taught him or something that he did as a child, tells you something about where he's what they're rooted in, you know. And I feel that way with my dad. Like, I'm constantly referring to things that my dad taught me when I was younger, and and how important those values have been for me as I've gotten older, and has, you know, in raising my own family. And you can tell that there's no BS in what he was saying. Like, you know, usually you can tell when someone's like saying what the PR person told me to say, and make sure you hit this mark, make sure you do, you know, like, there was none of that. I mean, he's very, very humble.
That's what I like about them. Like, every interview I see is totally different from the one before. Do you know what I mean? There's not, and you totally nailed it, because you hear some, you know, high profile people and they have these canned responses, and you don't get that from them.
Right.
And it always feels like off the cuff and spontaneous, and, you know, I love that.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, it's interesting when, you know, even for the fact that he says his mom, you know, watches his Twitter account to make sure that he's acting like I you know what? And it's, I appreciate that. I mean, you know, you often wonder, like, who keeps people grounded in their life. And it's very obvious where he gets,
and when,
where
and when you
brothers
see, you know, you've met a lot more, I mean, between you and your life and like the circles that, or, you know, media or whatever, in my working in television, like, you can see actually certain celebrities or high profile people and how they act, and especially younger ones, and like what their family life looks like a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The sense of entitlement.
I mean, not that they were child stars, but like, you know, they could imagine going from Canada to the US and then becoming famous and like millions of people, and they could be out there, you know, chasing women.
Well, but I also appreciate that they took what they were good at and figured a way how to make something of it. Like, there's nothing wrong with capitalizing on your good looks and your humor. Like, I have no. But
what do you think I do?
That's why you're on the radio.
I got to clip that moment. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Subscribe to Broadscast on iTunes.
So if you're still with us,
of course they are.
Hey, don't forget to head over to audibletrial.com/broadcast and get your free month of Audible, and a free audio download of a book of your choice. Kim, your books are on there. Unlike Kellyanne Conway, we can actually promote your book here, because we're not using the White House.
Yes. Not this week. Yes, I have one book on there.
One book on Audible, yes.
I have one book.
Yes.
My memoir. My memoir. It sounds so snotty, but it's on there.
My memoir is like written in crayon on a
napkin.
Roll of toilet paper. That goes to show you. But thank you so much to Jonathan Scott for joining us today. And, you know, I'm excited for shows to come. I seriously want to have the Broads versus the Bros. And have the two of them into the studio and like have to do like a game show style or something. How funny would that be? I'm putting it out there in the universe.
Okay, you just made me think. I know we always do this. Everything references back to Friends. I'm now in my head to the episode where Rachel and Monica
for the apartment.
Yeah. So
Mrs.
That's it.
Chenandler Bong.
That's all I have.
It's funny. I almost called you last night because Pivot was on. That episode plays a lot.
It does?
Yeah, I think. That was when she was moving out. But anyway.
Yeah. It's taken another turn again.
Seriously, we should have a podcast that's just about Friends, the show, and just talk about episodes and like how they pertain to real life, because that's all we do. It's all we do in our lives.
I know, but I told you this, that I find myself out in the world, like like quoting things, and like people look at me like I'm insane. Yes, I everything that happens, it's an episode.
Jonathan said Yemen, and I was like, remember when Chandler went to Yemen to avoid a breakup? I mean, like, we're broken, Kim Goldman.
No, it's just bad.
But head over to iTunes, you guys, and hit subscribe, because we would love to have you. And over in our Broad Squad group. On Facebook, and we're on Broadscast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We really want to hear from you and hear what you think and hear who you want to, you know, talk to in future episodes. And, you know, it's all about you. Really? Because nobody, including us, wants to hear about us.
Oh, come on now. You
So-
and your toilet paper stories. I want to hear them all.
You don't like my toilet paper stories?
I do.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We will certainly catch you next time.
See ya.
You are listening to Broadscast. For more from the Broads, head to broadscast.com.